Washington state farm workers were among the most vulnerable during the Northwest's deadly heat wave. As the state feels more effects from climate change, their advocates are calling for greater protections. Rosalinda Guillen heads Community to Community Development and says there are some obvious threats from extreme heat, such as dehydration. But she adds there are other threats, such as the increased use of chemicals and pesticides on farms to keep them producing the way they do under current conditions.
The biggest threat really for farm workers is the lack of consideration from state agencies and health departments for workplace protections. There's no real effort being made to change production practices.
Community to Community Development wants the state to convene a legislative work session on labor and agriculture this year, before next year's session. Guillen says this is a vital issue, considering Washington state is the top producer of a number of crops, including apples, blueberries, and hops. She says one important change for farm workers would be to make them hourly workers.
Don't overwork farm workers' bodies in inclement weather in order to keep the production levels the same as they've always been.
During the 2021 legislative session, Washington state farm workers won a hard-fought victory for overtime pay. And last year, the Department of Health granted workers temporary housing during the pandemic. Edgar Franks with the farm workers union Familias Unidas por la Justicia says more protections will require more pressure.
Everything we got last year was because we were pushing for more, whether it be the emergency rules on housing, the overtime bill in Washington. So it wasn't because it was just nice people trying to be nice to workers. It was because workers were fighting for it.
For Washington News Service, I'm Eric Tegedoff.